Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to Voices from the Bench. We are at our anniversary episode of 104. My name is Elvis.
My name is Barbara, and I do believe it's our 2-year anniversary and episode 104, correct?
Yeah, 2 years, 52 weeks a year. That brings us to episode 104. Congratulations, Barb.
Yeah, so that's actually our birthday and our anniversary. Congratulations to you as well. Super happy.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot to celebrate right now. So
yeah, that's kind of an oxymoron even saying celebration with the whole world gone crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, we feel that we need to keep going forward. We need to still produce content for our industry.
Well, I think it's super prudent for us to be talking about the coronavirus right now.
Yeah, we apologize right off the bat. This episode is going to be a little bit longer because we got a lot to cover. Not only do we want to bring you the content we were originally going to bring you, but we also wanted to bring in a special segment to talk about the COVID-19 virus.
I like how you refer to it as the COVID-19 virus. That's so professional.
Yeah.
I think you're the expert on it right now, just saying.
I have a lot of free time. It's no secret that our country, the world, and our industry is in a crazy place right now. Mm-hmm. This COVID-19 virus has put a lot of pressure and stress on everybody. As dentists close their practices to everything other than emergency cases, the workloads in our labs get lighter and lighter. It is definitely a trying time and an important time for labs to be supportive of each other and to know that when all this is done, we will be needed again. And because of how important it is to have correct information for our industry, Barb and I had a conversation with Bennett Napier from NADL to give us some verified updates regarding the dental laboratory industry and the COVID-19 virus. Please remember that this was recorded on Friday, March 20th in the afternoon, and we all know how quick this news changes.
Yeah.
So join us as we get an update from Bennett Napier. Obviously, the NADL is getting a ton of calls. And what have been people asking? What are some common questions? What have you been telling them?
Where can we get information posted?
Sure. Certainly, we thank both Elvis and Barb. We appreciate both of you taking the time to do this. I would say it's a pleasure to be on today, but not certainly because of the topic, but just in the spirit of being able to share information, which is what we're all trying to do in this kind of environment that we're all in. So I'd say when COVID started, even going into, back into January, long before it's the state we're in now, we had calls coming in primarily, as you would imagine, focused on infection control processes and, were the protocols any different from normal situations. And so that was certainly, January, February, the nature of the calls that we were receiving. Certainly in the last 7 days, if you will, that is less of the questions, although those are still occurring. Mm-hmm. It's now business continuity and the hourly, daily changes in terms of regulations, in terms of keeping the doors open and or their clients' doors open. And so what we've been trying to do through NADL, and certainly Barb probably picked the worst year to be president, but she is.
I know. Bummer.
With that said, effectively, majority of questions this week, and I would imagine continuing on, will be relative to employment situations as business owners in our community make decisions on short-term or long-term decisions on furloughs or layoffs, reduction in hours. And, it's an ever-changing landscape with congressional and White House action in terms of paid leave issues and certainly potential tax credits that have already been executed and that will probably continue. So we're just trying to direct people to some extent, not make decisions unilaterally without talking to professionals, whether that be, a CPA, outside human resource professionals, attorneys in some cases. We respect and are cognizant that cash flow is king in all businesses, and especially dental labs. So if cases continue to decline based on dental office recommendations and guidance from regulatory agencies or executive orders from governors that, we ride the tide with dentistry. And so if cash isn't coming in the door, cases aren't coming in the door, then how do you pay your people? So our goal is just to make sure that people make the right decision based on their particular situation and don't get some short-term gain, but potentially have long-term repercussions based on those short-term decisions. And so this is definitely the time to use outside professionals, not to wing it. And so that's what we're trying to do, is direct people to the right resources based on each situation. We're having very frequent communication, meaning NADL, with the American Dental Association, Food and Drug Administration as well. On the regulatory side, ADA has been very cooperative and sharing of information. From a collaborative standpoint, we are trying to continue to work with ADA, where ADA has launched effectively a congressional action center where they're asking member dentists to contact members of Congress and regulatory agencies to protect small businesses such as dental offices. And so we're trying to work with ADA to see if we can, rather than go on our own accord, collaborate with ADA within that outreach. So we're still in the midst of working through that process with ADA. We'll probably have that hopefully secured by the end of the weekend.
Awesome.
If we're not able to do that with ADA directly in that sense, for different reasons, we'll launch our own effort Monday morning. In the meantime, NADL has already submitted letters to the Department of Labor Secretary, as well as different key leaders in Congress. And, relative to right now, some of the confusion is that, people who could demonstrate that implementing these paid leave requirements that are now in effect come April 2nd potentially could result in business closure, meaning bankruptcy.
Yeah.
There's not definitive processes by which how do you achieve those exemptions. And so that's key for everybody in the short time we have to make what those determinations would be, to get that information and share it. So NADL, NBC, and the foundation, all three have taken action. So just, NBC earlier this week circulated information to all the CDTs and recognized graduates relative to extensions on renewals and, CE requirements. The Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology just today launched to the market, primarily on social media, but we'll probably do an e-blast as well, that all of the online courses, or over 100 of them, that are on the Foundation Learning Library, as people may not have work but have downtime for training or education, that all of those courses are free with the promo code that the Foundation launched on its Facebook page earlier today. So I encourage people to go to the dental-laboratory-foundation.org online learning library and utilize the downtime that we have for learning and honing your skills. And then certainly NADL, as the trade association, we're, like I said, actively trying to share resources that are most pertinent based on the questions that we're getting either by email or phone at the NADL office related to, primarily the employer HR related concerns. And then certainly also federal Small Business Administration loans. And then some states also have their own emergency grant or loan programs. And so trying to direct people locally where those things are. The other big piece I would say that most people have focused on, which is not surprising, is what procedures are still allowable for dentists to perform, and how does that impact dental laboratories. So each ADA came out with its own recommendations, but ADA is not a government agency. It just came out with recommendations. So in terms of what dental offices can perform in a particular state, that usually is coming through executive orders of the governor or the state boards of dentistry. And so there are still a few areas of dental laboratory work, if you will, that we've illustrated in our national e-blast that we sent out today, that illustrate what work may continue to come in, at least for now, to dental laboratories that are still able to provide services. So that's a big piece. The other piece is there's been some states, obviously, and local ordinances where they say, are you an essential business or non-essential business? Each state, each county, each city is defining that differently. And so what I would share is that people need to look at their own location in terms of where they are geographically, because the answer can be different and is different in each locale, where in many cases dental offices are still considered essential businesses. And the wording will say hospitals, ambulatory surgery centers, dental offices, but this list is including but not limited to those named. And, certainly from a classification standpoint, and if we look at HIPAA compliance, dental labs are defined as healthcare providers. Those states that have laboratory registration, it's very clear that they're defined as healthcare providers. So we would encourage people just, again, to do their homework, because every state, every county, every city could have different wording in terms of what's essential and non-essential. So the internet can work in our favor because of sharing information, but it can also work against us in the sense if you don't take the next step to do your homework for your specific situation, you may be doing something unintentionally that you don't need to do or need to do. And so we just want, again, try to, as much as we can, we're trying to communicate people to where to find that kind of information.
And so if a person from the state of Washington calls NADL, where would you tell them to go? Like if we could just break it down state by state, where would you tell them to go?
Yeah, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty easy. Nothing's easy in this environment, but in the links and resources that we have on our NADL.org news page, and that we've been, we'll continue to update that document on that page, as well as our social media channels. We have summaries of what the state boards of dentistry are, doing as far as the moving target, if you will, on what services that they're allowed to continue to provide, and how long those particular requirements are in force. So some states, are still following the ADA recommendations for 3 weeks, which started March 16th, if you will, 3 weeks out from that. But then we already have some, to your point, Barb, is we have Pacific Northwest, Washington and Oregon State have already gone out into May. Oregon, I think, as of today, based on an executive order of the governor, they've put that restriction, if you will, in terms of what services, that dentists can provide is limited to emergency or urgent care through mid-June. So, like I said, every state, every state's going to be different. So, we'll try to continue to update people where to find that. But the quickest way, if you're obviously a local or a lab just working with dentists in your particular state, is look at the State Board of Dentistry website or the State Dental Association website. They're posting as fast as they can. Obviously, if you're a mail order lab doing multiple states, it's obviously more complex because you got to look at more places. But we'll try to update our charts, and so we've got a myriad of links on our document, and some of those are state by state charts that we're working with other allied groups that are updating that information, like ADA and other organizations are. We're all trying to keep up as fast as you can because it's changing by the hour. So what we would tell you is if you looked at something yesterday, it could change tomorrow. So it's good order, if you will, for people to continue to refresh any searches that they've done to see if there's any updates based on the sources that they were looking at the day before.
So that's great information to have. So for our listeners, NADL.org, and then you said your state association?
Yeah, go to the news page where we're going to update most of that. And then, certainly, like you said, as far as dental office closures and requirements, that's the State Dental Association websites. But definitely those states that have state dental laboratory associations, I know a good number of them, especially on social media, are posting and sharing information on a very frequent basis. So this is definitely the time to use associations for what they are. They're there to be a clearinghouse and a resource to share information. And usually associations are trying to get the most up-to-date and correct information and post that. So I just, again, use validated sources, and that's important, especially now, because like I said, you just don't want to make decisions based on the wrong information.
I've seen a ton of NADL Facebook pages. I know you guys are getting a lot of phone calls, but can you refer them to your Facebook page as well?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you're on Facebook, NADL itself has a Facebook page. Just do a search for National Association of Dental Laboratories. National Board for Certification in Dental Laboratory Technology is not focusing a lot on COVID, other than things that they may be helping to do in terms of assistance for CDTs and RGs with their renewals and continuing education. Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology has its own Facebook page. And so that's more, like I said, for some of the online learning that they're offering. And then we have NADL also has your What's in Your Mouth Facebook page. And so that page, which is public relations in nature, has a lot of followers that are consumers, dentists, technicians, and dental labs. And so we're also posting certain relevant information for those audiences because they're asking, general questions about dentistry also. And so any of those four, you can find something, but primarily anything that's going to be, business related in terms of changes is going to be primarily first posted on the NADL Facebook page. So it's important that people like that page and follow that, so that when we do make posts, we've been some days posting 4 to 5 times a day with new information. So if they're not following that or haven't liked it, they're not likely going to see it. I do want to share and thank Elizabeth Curran and Audrey Durrell and Sean Nowak, who managed the Dental Laboratory Technicians Facebook page, which has got well over 12,000 people on that page. They've been very good about sharing and reposting the information we're releasing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Our goal is, as many people who can have access to the information, the better. This is not about members only. This is about everybody.
Yeah.
And the same for Valeria Berger and Jason Mazda and Kelly Carr and Judy Fishman with LMT and IDT. We've been sharing information with them, and they've been, again, very good to reshare this and share this on their social media front. So, we're trying to help everybody because we're all in it together. And the more we can share resources and get to the other side of this as fast as we all can, then that's what we want. So
yeah, I see that. I see a lot of camaraderie, a lot of Facebook pages, everybody talking to each other on Messenger, all of the people that you just mentioned. How can we help each other, and passing different states that are closing and what they're doing, and the ADA information. I've just seen a lot of people trying to help each other. And I think that's where the podcast comes in also, is that we want to get it to as many people as possible, where to find the information, and, just let them know that we're behind them and that we want to get the information out there and support everybody, because this is really hard times for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. I mean, I know that's what we're all hearing on the news, but that is really the case.
Yeah.
So just our goal is to help people make good decisions in a very precarious time, and hopefully that the decisions that they make and need to make are the right ones. And, our goal is to help them now during this process, and certainly when this process gets to the other side, whatever that looks like, we'll be there as a resource again to help them. So that's what we want.
Yeah.
We're certainly glad the NADL is around.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the best advice we can give to people right now is to stay up to date. Don't make decisions on rumors.
Right.
And head down, stay safe, I guess.
Yeah, I'll make one more mention.
Yeah, please.
We will release an announcement. We have a number of resource partners with NADL. We have a DC law firm that we work with, and they've got a whole COVID response team that we're interacting with and sharing some of the information that they are doing and publishing. We work with C Management out of Orlando, which is a national HR firm, and also Insperity, which is based in Dallas and Houston, but they're a national human resource forum. So we're directing people to some professionals in that regard. But next week, we will be hosting a COVID webinar, primarily focused on human resource issues, and effectively, we know for sure is going to sell out. We'll be doing an announcement for that. So based on the technology, I think it's limited to the first 100 people to sign up. It will be free, so there's no charge, and it's open for anybody, member or not. And anybody who's not able to sign into that webinar, it will be recorded, and the PowerPoint materials and reference materials will be available for download, hopefully fairly shortly after the actual live webinar occurs. So we'll send that to both of you so that you can share that on the Voices on the Bench podcast, messaging that you do so well, so people are aware of that, what time it is, and how to call into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Anything we can do. Yeah.
We will.
We appreciate what you, Bennett, and all the partners is doing for our industry.
For sure.
Yeah. So we're here any way we can communicate with members or non-members, by phone, by email, by messenger, whatever, or all three. We want to help get them in the right direction. So all questions are, at this kind of environment, all questions are valid. There's not a dumb question. And these kind of times, they're all good questions and all relevant questions. So if it's a question that we haven't heard before or don't know the answer, we're going to try to find the right resource for people and get them and pointed in the right direction.
Nice.
And it's all in the spirit of togetherness, trying to help each other. I've heard some good things and some bad things, but the whole point is that we need to be here for each other, and we need to get out as much accurate information as possible. So keep us updated, and Elvis and I will do another podcast next week if we have to, just to keep everybody updated. And we appreciate everything NADL and Foundation, NBC, and all the information that you're trying to get out to the laboratories. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you both for what you're doing and keeping the communication channels flowing on all fronts. So we appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bennett.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Bennett. All right. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
We sure do appreciate the update, Bennett. If any new updates are given, make sure that you check back with the NADL Facebook page or website. And if needed, we will have Bennett back on to address any information that's new and upcoming. Make sure you check out our podcast because Elvis and I are on this information and we want to get it out to everybody. So everybody just come together and let's all be supportive of each other and hope that this doesn't last as long as it may. So I don't know I'm also hearing 18 months, 6 months, who knows? So I'm thinking about everybody. I know it's crazy and a lot of people are super stressed.
Also remember that nobody is in this alone. We're all in this together.
Yep.
Because life has to go on and we still need to stay connected, we will continue our regular scheduled episode. This week brings us 3 conversations we got while Barb and I were at the Voices of Dentistry Summit back in January. Back when times were a lot easier.
Yeah, I'll say. And we could travel.
Yeah. This event was dedicated to podcasts all about dentistry. It was full of dentists, dental assistants, and hygienists. And Barb and I, we were the only lab there dedicated to the laboratory industry. And we were there thanks to our good friends at Kettenbach.
Thank you, Kettenbach. We appreciated it. It was a really great trip.
It was a blast to talk to some people that, even though might be directed to the clinical side of our business, it's nice to have their perspective. And you never know when the information might come in handy. First up, we talked to Jordan Comstock, who grew up in a lab and now runs an in-house membership programs that help doctors not to rely on insurances.
All right.
Which really could mean good things for labs.
Heck yeah.
And then we talked to Cody, who's a CPA that has his own podcast that's directed to help dentists.
Then we talked
to...
Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
Then we talked to a dentist from my area in Indiana, Dr. Zach Allmand, who started his own credit card processing company called Apex Payment Solutions, because he was tired of getting screwed by credit card processing companies. And then, of course, so many thens, because we had her on our first episode, and then we had her on our 52nd episode, and my voice cracked, 52nd episode, the tradition continues, and we caught up with Renata Budny at LMT Lab Day Chicago to have her on this anniversary episode. So join us for some pre-COVID-19 conversations from Voices of Dentistry, thanks to our good friends at Kettenbach. Hey Barb, I had a mill go down last week.
Oh no.
Yeah, it took 3 days to get it repaired and up and running again. It was a huge pain in the ass, and I had everybody working on overtime to make up for it.
So why didn't you just outsource it until the mill got repaired?
Because if I outsourced them, wouldn't it have taken weeks for them to come back? And with this latest virus scare, who knows if I'd get it back at all?
Not all outsourcing is done outside the U.S., Elvis.
What?
You should have sent your crowns to Alien Milling Technology. They mill all their products right here in the United States. They could have done your zirconia and had them back to you by the second day. Rumor on the street has it that if you send them a crown on a certain day, they will even do it for free.
Wait a minute. What? For free? Why? What day?
Well, I don't know. Head over to alienmilling.com to find out which day to send them your crowns and to see all of the other things that they can help you mill by being a great partner to your lab.
Yeah, I'm checking them out right now. Wow, abutments, night guards, partials, surgical guides, even bars? Whoa!
Amazing. I know. At alienmilling.com, you can find almost everything you need to take your lab to the next level. You can even take advantage of their buy 4 pucks, get 1 free deal that ends at the end of March. That's pretty nice. That's probably a $150 deal right there.
I tell you, this place just keeps getting better and better. Thanks, Alien Milling. Voices from the Bench. The interview.
All right.
Boom cloud.
Boom
you have
cloud.
to say it with the emphasis on the boom.
I mean, yeah,
or
that's
the
your
cloud?
choice. You can. Is it boom cloud? Yeah.
Boom,
yeah.
Yeah. So we are sitting down, Voices of Dentistry, Scottsdale, Arizona, blah, 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 blah. Jordan, how do you say that?
Comstock.
Comstock.
Yeah.
Comstock. from Boom Cloud.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I know you on Facebook.
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook.
Yeah,
I always laugh at your posts.
As soon as I got in here, Alan Mead comes up to me and goes, "Hey, over there, Gordon, over at Boomstock, he's a huge fan. He listens to their podcast. He used to be in the lab." I was like, "Wow, thanks. Nice to see you, too."
So he loves you.
Yeah.
But so you have a past in labs.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
Tell us about it.
Yes, I'm from Utah.
Won't hold it against you.
And yeah. And I'm the owner of Boom Cloud, which helps practice create dental membership programs. But before that, I managed my dad's dental lab called Salt Lake Dental Lab, one of the oldest labs in Utah.
No kidding.
Started in 1906.
1906?
1906.
Man,
Yeah.
your dad is
And
old.
He's so old. Yeah, it's crazy. My grandpa bought it from the original owner.
I was going to say,
in
it's
like
got to
the
be
early
third generation.
Yeah. In the early 1950s. So the dental lab has been, in my family for
That's
a very
insane,
long time.
That's great.
I mean, I grew up always going to the lab, going and
Sure.
playing with plaster and acrylic and
Every child of a lab owner does
I
that.
know.
That is so
Yeah,
funny.
It is, yeah. We grew
I
up
did
and
the same damn thing.
Well, I have to ask you, did you cast bugs?
of course, yeah.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah.
I'll never forget
have-
when somebody said that. I was like,
Yes. Oh, he just got bleeped.
Yeah, so we had a pet scorpion, and it died. So we cast it in chrome.
Yeah, I bet that was awesome.
We have my dad has a chrome
Still have
scorpion.
it. That's
Still has
awesome.
it, yeah. And then we, as kids, we would bring spiders, and beetles.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah,
My dad used to make me rings and jewelry.
Yeah, I was
going to
say we
kinds
also
of
did
fun
rings.
stuff.
I was
Yeah.
my wife and all of her sisters. We were
Oh, yeah.
just down the street from the lab. There was a company called I think Freshman's, and they would sell ring wax patterns. So we would just take those and
That's what we
get
did.
non-precious metal
Yep.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and cast it in a ring, and then set
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
ruby in it or something.
And take a high speed and go in there. and
Yep. Polish it up and
engrave it,
yeah,
polish
yeah.
it.
So
Yep.
we did all sorts of things. I mean, one of the crazy things we did is my brother-in-law, he lost his finger in an accident. So what I did is I created a fake finger made out of denture acrylic.
Wow.
'Cause we took an impression of his hand and of his other ring, right? With his full finger.
Yeah.
It was his birdie finger, so it was really fun.
That's
and
cool.
then we took a pressure of his stub and then poured a model on it, and then
That's
we
crazy.
created an acrylic finger, and I basically made a ring. I cast a ring, so it
it
fit
just-
on his
Oh,
stub.
that was
It's just
the
like a ring.
transition
So,
period, yeah.
so it looked like a
Does
ring.
he wear it?
He wears it, yeah.
I
We
was
also
gonna
made him
say,
a
I bet he
hook.
does.
We also made him a hook that fit on his
Nice.
finger for
little tiny little hook.
yeah. So
That's awesome.
hilarious.
But yeah, those are the weird stuff we did at the dental lab.
So
We have
then you
tons of
left
stories.
and you opened your company. Tell us about your company.
Yeah, so I stayed at the dental lab for about 7 years. I helped manage it. I helped grow it from just a local little lab, and we started getting practices outside of the state because my family always kept it in Utah.
Were you ever a technician?
Yes.
Yeah.
I started out learning how to create PFMs and gold
sure.
crowns.
Yeah.
So I was always casting gold, and then the digital technology came in. We got Cerac in lab, and now I think they have like what's the big mill?
The MCX5.
Yeah, they have that
Yeah.
now, and I helped them transition from I don't know what you call it, just an analog lab to a digital lab.
Sure.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I stayed for 2 more years there after we transitioned to digital.
Yeah.
And then at that time, our clients were complaining about dental insurance. And my mom's an office manager as well. So
At a practice.
At a practice, yeah.
Wow, okay. Does her office use your dad's lab?
No, because they're pediatrics. Oh, maybe for like
Oh.
space maintainers.
I get it.
They'll
Okay,
do
yeah, I
like
missed that
space
part,
maintainers,
yeah.
but yeah, nothing much. She did work at a general office that for a period of time that did send cases to
Just
my
want
dad's
to make
lab.
sure it's staying in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. We but my mom's an office manager, so we always grew up, and I say we because I'm a twin who also
you're
was
a
at
twin?
the lab, but now he's at Boom Cloud with me.
Wow.
We both were at the lab, but we grew up, understanding the lab side of the industry, but also understanding the practice management side.
Sure.
Because my mom was a practice manager.
Yeah.
Still is. And we always heard how horrible insurance companies are to work with. I'm sure you guys hear it from your clients.
Absolutely.
Insurance just flat out sucks.
It
you know,
dictates what they want to pay us.
Yeah,
for anything.
Exactly. It's a huge problem for all of us in the dental space.
It trickles down.
You know, I asked myself at that time, while I was managing the lab, I studied marketing and web development because I wanted to create software for the lab industry.
Really?
Was the first thing I wanted to do. But we had so many people complaining about dental insurance. I found myself asking, you know, how there's got to be a better way to help these docs work with insurance or not work with insurance and have a system. You know, about 2015, I started building the beginning versions of BoomCloud, which helps practices create a membership program as an alternative. So patients pay a subscription to the practice, whether it's monthly or yearly, and then they get savings and benefits that the practice designs. It's not a third-party insurance company that does it. The practice does it.
But even isn't really dental insurance a paid membership? That
Yeah,
you just
that's
pay into it and get a discount?
That's exactly what
what
dental insurance is. You pay into it and you get a discount. So I'm like, well, why can't a dentist do this?
Just do it directly.
Right? And have control over those discounts and have control over what benefits they're going to offer. So that's exactly what we ended up building. And in 2016, I fully, left the lab and launched BoomCloud, and it's been growing ever since.
Yeah.
So it's a fun industry to be in. It's real innovative and new in the dental space, but it's fun to continue working with dental practices.
Sure.
Just in a different way.
Yeah.
You're not sending crowns to their office. You're just helping them generate recurring revenue.
Yeah. Which is,
it.
I mean, really, that's all we're doing is we're trying to help the dentist be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have you noticed that when they switch off from insurance and go over to this subscription base, is that
that's the perfect way to say it.
Have they been able to increase their lab usage, I guess? Or,
absolutely. So
maybe they can get away from the budget lab.
Yeah, so that's exactly. So my dad, so his name's Kelly Comstock, president of Salt Lake Dental Lab. He refers.
It's still going strong, right?
It's still going strong.
That's
awesome.
So
they're my little brother is actually taking over the lab, which is pretty
great.
exciting.
How many of there are you?
Yeah, I was going to
I
say.
think there's like 12. There's only 3. I only have 3 brothers and 1 sister. So, so we're not a huge family. Not typical for Utah though. So, but yes. So what happens? So all my dad refers all of his lab clients to BoomCloud because it helps them get out of insurance so that they can control their costs and their profit margins, right? Meaning they can deliver a higher quality dentistry, right? So and usually if you think about it, and maybe not all lab owners are aware of this, but if you think about it, when a doctor signs a contract with a PPO, they're having to discount steep. I think that a national average is like 40% of their.
They have to charge the patient 40%.
They have to take 40% off. So if they're charging $1,000 for a crown, they got to take 40% off that.
Wow.
And there's even some states and some insurance companies that are even worse, right?
Wow.
It's a huge
I had
problem.
no idea.
Yeah, it's a big problem. So the more that you can get your clients that are dentists to understand that and realize that insurance is really killing their business, because every year insurance companies squeeze harder and harder, and those reimbursements get less and less, right? And it's happening all the time. I think in California they had a huge lawsuit with Delta Dental, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And the dentist side won, but that doesn't always happen, right? That was probably one of the only times we're going to hear of that.
Yeah.
But I know recently here in Arizona that they just passed they just sent a letter out to all their clients, the dentist clients. This is the insurance company, and they informed them the dental practices that they're going to pay them less, right? And this is happening all over the nation, and it's happening more and more.
And
right?
dentists are afraid to leave.
And dentists are afraid to leave because
they'll lose patients.
They may think they lose patients, or maybe they're not doing the correct type of marketing in their practice. And even as dental lab owners, I think everyone ought to be thinking about that too, because marketing your lab is extremely important. And just like a dental practice, you're going to have attrition, and the only benefit is you're not working directly with insurance companies, but really you are, right? Because if you're working with a doc that's signed on a PPO contract, you're basically working with a PPO.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I was in an office last week, and all they could tell me constantly was they take Medicaid patients.
Yeah.
I take Medicaid patients.
That's hard, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, this is all that I get.
So
what
they
can
want
you do?
to drop your prices?
That's it.
Is that what they're asking you to do?
I had to in order to get the
yeah,
work.
so that was my biggest complaint when I was at the dental lab. I'm like, man, these guys are signing the contracts with the PPOs, and they're giving the lab a call and saying, I just gotta have. Can I get a better deal?
Yeah.
Right. And you,
We're
as
the
the lab owner,
first
you're like,
person.
I don't want to lose these guys.
Yep.
Because I've worked hard to build that relationship with this dental practice, and then what happens is you end up discounting your
well, we
your
also
fees,
want to
right?
we also want to keep the work coming in to keep the employees busy.
Yeah, you got to do
just
that.
Easier
Then you have
to
do more productivity.
in
Your
order
margins
to
are
Yeah,
dropping.
it's the same problem the docs are
So,
having, right? If they sign on a PPO contract, they're having to see a ton of patients and hurdle. They're like herding cows.
Yeah.
Right.
Ass in chairs is
Yeah.
what it is.
That's
And
exactly what it
it's bleeped
is.
again,
Yeah,
ladies
well,
and gentlemen.
it's Arizona.
I heard that.
Hey, that is a very
Wow.
common thing to say. I remember our old denture technician would always say that.
So, do you work with any laboratories at all to get your name out there and to promote what you're doing?
Yeah, I only work with a couple laboratories. I haven't really spent too much time. I probably should.
Kind of interesting.
Because that's my background. That's what's in my blood, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's monomer in my blood or
to see like how
plaster.
we can partner or how you can partner with the laboratories who especially like with the DSOs or
I'm
some
wondering
of
if
the
we
larger.
can start a
Wow.
subscription base with labs. Like a
Yeah.
Yeah,
doctor will pay me.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I had this conversation with both my dad and my brother who's taken over the lab, and I think it definitely could work. I haven't seen it happen yet, but that doesn't mean it can happen.
Yeah,
right?
it's an interesting concept.
It just requires a different type of mindset. I mean, there's dentists out there that do what we call a discount-only plan, where the patient pays like $10, $20 a month. And again, this is talking consumer. That's what they would pay.
Yeah.
If you guys are selling business, right?
Yeah.
You may be able to charge more. They're discount-only plans where the patient pays, $10, $20 a month, and then they get, 10 or 20% discount off of any service that they get from the practice, which is really interesting because a typical membership program, they have for a practice, they'll have, exams, cleanings, X-rays, things like that included, and then a discount on like crowns or bridges,
yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
So on the lab side, I do believe that there's an opportunity for a subscription model, much like a discount plan model. If you can get a practice to pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
Think of like Amazon
Our
Prime.
wheels are turning.
Yeah, and this
You
is
pay
obviously-
$100 for Amazon to get it shipping.
Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
so
I'll knock
yeah.
a day off turnaround if you give me.
Seriously.
Seriously,
No,
that
seriously.
makes a lot of
think
sense.
I think the lab industry. I mean, when I was at the dental lab, that was my initial thought. I wonder if we should do a membership program for the lab too, as I was trying to help these practices. And I definitely think there's room to explore there.
Yeah,
And I think if you're a creative lab owner, I mean, it's going to take some crunching of numbers and making sure that you're not going to lose any money. But I mean, I think if you think of like Amazon Prime, a lab can easily do something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to chat with anybody that may be interested.
It's an interesting idea. But even if, that doesn't work, just the fact that when I talk to an office and they're telling me about PPO insurance and I can just say, boom cloud.
Yeah, that's good.
And they'll be like, what? And then I'll
At
say,
least now
no,
we have an option.
No, seriously,
Instead
you
of
got to
drop,
check
drop,
this out.
drop.
It makes more sense. It's benefit to us all.
Yeah, it is, because essentially that dentist will be in control
Does
of
everybody
his
benefit
fees.
from Boom Cloud? The patient, the
it's
doctor?
a total, it's a
they pay
win-win-win.
less, they
If you
get more,
Yeah. The patient wins, the practice wins, and the lab can even win, right? Because if the practice is able to control his fees and increase his profit margins, then he's not going to whine about the cost of a crown.
He won't
right?
jump ship when he gets the
and
$45 postcard.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's definitely a win-win, and I think that's one way you can, as a lab owner, lab technician, one way you can help your lab and bring value to the table.
Yeah, I'm sure dentists like it because it's like specific to them.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, because there's no network.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy down the street, they're not on the same
Yeah, and
list.
that's the problem with. I mean, can you imagine, running your lab and saying, well, the dentist for some reason maybe goes to a website and has a list of all the lab's pricing.
Yeah.
And it's all
Pick and
discounted
choose,
and it creates a mess, if you ask me. And it commoditizes the dental industry, which I don't believe is a commodity industry.
There's very few labs that post prices.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, hint, hint.
I definitely think, introducing a membership program to practice could definitely benefit a lab, bring value to that relationship, right? Because as I found when I was at the dental lab, the more value you brought to the practice, even though it maybe didn't directly benefit the lab in a way, the more trust you built, which is beneficial, right?
Absolutely.
And if you can help, our friends in the dental practice, obviously that increases the loyalty, and then
make yourself more valuable.
Right.
That's all what it's all about.
Yeah, because you think of like these big companies like Henry Schein. They're doing a lot to help these practices, and what they started out just selling supplies, right?
Yeah, they go way above that.
And now they have their whole tech hub, which is in Utah, just down the street from my office. That they help with other solutions, and then they have their practice management consulting arm, right? And they understand, hey, if we can bring value to these docs, they're going to reciprocate, right? So.
And they do, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you think about
options.
Any business in the dental industry that's highly successful, they help the practice out, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really the mindset that we need to have as lab technicians.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you.
I think we should look in on this.
Same here.
Yeah,
cool.
Kind of fun.
George, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Enjoy
the meeting.
So much.
Yeah, thanks for having me come on. I've seen your posts on
you guys
Facebook,
are
and I'm like,
friends.
Yeah.
man,
cool.
I'd love to talk, dental. I mean, I'd love to talk even about some of the strategy we did on maybe another podcast.
Absolutely.
On growing a dental lab.
Heck yeah.
When I started at the dental lab, I really focused on. I love marketing. I love growth.
Yeah.
And my dad was just, a small lab. I think they were like a 5-man lab or something. They still are, 5-man lab. And I wanted to go beyond that. And maybe I'm crazy, but I learned a lot about how to market to dentists. And I think maybe that can bring some value to your listeners.
I want to know how you got out of our industry, because you don't hear
really.
that too often. I mean, you got out.
Yeah, and so did my brother, but he came with my company. But like how I transitioned.
I mean, we talk to people that are in labs. I mean, all the time with this podcast.
Yeah.
We all love it. We can't imagine doing anything else.
Sure, yeah.
And if you do leave the lab, you usually end up working for a vendor within the lab
I've
space.
seen that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at least you're still in dentist.
Yeah, I'm still in dental, right? But yeah, how I left it, I loved.
Your dad getting a fight?
The lab. No. I have a fantastic relationship with him and my brothers. I think my real passion was in building software companies.
Yeah.
And because at the dental lab, I wanted to build like a lab management software. And I know there's like, what's the one that I'm friends with the owner. He actually just emailed me the other day. Labstar.
Labstar, yeah.
Is it Jeff Knowles who's the owner?
Good guy.
So, he's
been on
guy.
the podcast.
Yeah. Jeff is awesome. When I started at the dental lab, my dad was using a paper system. And I was like, dude,
mine too.
What are you thinking? It was so hard to track everything. And then Labstar came out, and I love the guys at Labstar.
Yeah.
They were super cool. But how I got out is, I mean, I loved working in the lab. I grew up going to the lab, and helping my dad out. In the summers, we would clear the plaster trap.
Yeah.
You know that stinky bucket. And sweep the floors, pour models, things like that. And I originally wanted to take over the dental lab. I love business, and I love
keep the tradition alive.
Yeah, and really how I got out is because I guess I just had a bigger vision with Boom Cloud, and I was always experimenting on business ideas and targeting the dental industry. Yeah. While I was at the dental lab, and I've just kind of always been a natural entrepreneur. Sitting down at the bench every day.
I get it. You seem more of an extrovert than an introvert.
Yeah. Sitting down at the bench every day was hard for me. And then I started out in the Crown Bridge, casting copings and bugs. And bugs. Yeah. But then within a few years, I was the face of the lab.
Yeah,
and
going
I
out.
I was doing all the marketing and management of the lab. And my dad and my brothers were, the technicians.
Sure.
And we had a few other technicians as well. But yeah, I always just liked being a marketer, an entrepreneur, and that's kind of how I eventually transitioned out.
Yeah.
Because I like building software and selling.
It's cool, man.
So
cool.
That's how it was.
What is it, boomcloud.com?
Yeah, you can go to boomcloud.com or boomcloudapps.com, and that will take you to the website.
Nice.
Yeah, so we really bash on insurance companies on there. We make fun of them.
It's okay.
It's like working with monkeys.
I don't like them either, so it's good. Somebody's got to do it.
As a lab and personally, I don't like them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we all have a weird
all feel the same way.
relationship with insurance companies. No matter whether it's inside of dentistry or out, maybe it's auto insurance.
I don't see an insurance booth here.
Yeah. I don't think I've gone to a lot of events over the course of the years, and I've never seen a dental insurance.
You'll never see a face.
And I was talking to Chris Salerno. He's the chief editor of Dental Economics magazine.
Yeah.
Because we publish a lot of articles there, which is a fantastic way to market a lab as well. In fact, I was talking to their editors at Dental Economics, and they said, "Yeah, we have a lab section, but hardly anybody contributes." That's like, to me, I would
Interesting.
write. That sounds like an opportunity to me.
Interesting.
But I totally spaced what I was talking about with Chris Lane.
Insurance people and
I was talking to Dental Economics magazine, and I'm like, hey, does any insurance companies like sponsor the magazine or like write for it to contribute to the industry? And he's like, no, we've tried, but they don't want anything to do with it.
Isn't that weird?
And I'm like, okay, that is weird. It doesn't sound like a true partner to me.
Yeah, they control a lot of it, but participate none of it.
No, yeah, and it's really interesting. So, I also have a podcast. It's called Say No to PPOs.
I love that.
PPOs.
Say No to PPOs.com. So I'd love to have you guys on the show. But
that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, so it basically teaches dentists how to say no to PPOs.
Transition.
And transition out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
Love it.
No, we'll put a link up and everything.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Voices of Dentistry 2020.
Yay.
A gentleman came up to Barb and I, not even to record at first. Craig Cody.
Yes.
From the Progressive Dentist Podcast.
Yes, thank you.
This guy comes up to us and goes, he starts off on the first thing, I'm a CPA, and instantly I lost interest.
And I went and got a shot of Fireball. Just saying.
That's why I'm here now.
So you are a CPA to dentist.
Yes, I'm a CPA. We work with a lot of dentists throughout the country.
So that's like your niche.
My niche is dentistry.
Now, how did that come about?
I was doing a lot of guest podcasting, and we realized we could help dentists save a lot of money. Our whole thing is really focusing on tax planning, showing them legal things they can do to reduce their tax liability. And we are able to help dentists save money. And in addition to that, we work with our clients on a monthly basis. So we're always talking to them every month, going over their numbers. With good numbers, they can make good decisions.
Sure. But you also mentioned to me when I asked you, do you ever work with labs? You're like,
everybody's
no
the
different.
same.
Right. No different.
You know what? Every business has the same issues, okay?
Yeah.
There's some businesses have little technical differences, okay? They're typically very little unless it's a restaurant.
Yeah, why is the restaurant different? You mentioned that.
Restaurant has tips. You have to account for tips a certain way and stuff like that. That's really it.
No one tips dentists?
No.
I've been giving my dentist tips for years.
So what do you talk about on your podcast? I mean, do you interview dentists or?
We interview dentists. Probably 2 out of 4 interviews is a dentist where we talk about, different things, mistakes they've made so listeners can learn from those mistakes, things they're doing, things they wish they started doing earlier. So we go through all that. And,
how do you find them? Do you have an email or do they hit you up or how does it?
Both ways. I used to do a lot of guesting, so I was a guest on
theirs. Time to return some favors.
So now we're able to get on theirs. So I have them on ours, which is great. And we launched in April, so we have about 35 episodes out there already.
Cool.
It's a lot of, as you know, podcasting is a lot of fun. You meet a lot of interesting people. You get to come to Voices of Dentistry, and leave the cold New York weather.
How did you learn about Voices of Dentistry, which, by the way, this is an amazing meeting. We've said that a couple times.
I had been, one of the first dental podcasts I was on was Dr. Mark Costas, the dentalpreneur.
Okay. Loved him.
And I guess somehow I found out about, Voices of Dentistry. I was here last year.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, and this year is an even bigger event. And
they did a nice job this year.
Yes. And, January in New York versus January in Arizona. It's really not a tough decision.
Mm-hmm. See, I live in Tampa, so it's pretty much the same darn thing.
It's
I love
colder here, probably, isn't it?
It's a lot colder
it's colder here. It was 40-something degrees this morning.
Yeah, it was cold this morning.
Cold.
Yeah, that was nice.
Didn't expect it.
So, in all your podcasting, either you being on or any time discussion of laboratories come about?
I think I was actually a guest on a laboratory podcast maybe a year ago.
Interesting.
And it's like, when you're not in that industry, you don't really know. And so, like, most people think their CPA needs to be right down the block, right? This is the world of technology. So we have clients all over the world.
Sure.
I guess it works the same way with labs, right? I mean, with overnight.
Oh,
FedEx.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. The competition is not the guy down the road anymore.
Exactly.
The competition is her 10 states away.
Right.
I mean, absolutely. It's interesting.
Exactly. So it's a great opportunity. It's the CPA no longer needs to be down the block, or your CFO doesn't need to be in a room next door to you. Mm-hmm. Technology is great. And when we work with our clients, we have a monthly call with them via Zoom. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to drive. Like, if I go see a New York City client, I might have to leave my office 3 hours because I never know what traffic's going to be like. Now I pop on 10 minutes before the call. Yep. We're there.
Love it.
They're having lunch. They're doing whatever they're doing. Exactly. We want to look good. Okay.
Pants optional.
And usually I have a staff member or two with me who is working on that client, and they want to make sure they look good.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to do business. You could really give impactful information in a very time-sensitive and, like, compact. So the guy might have a sandwich, or a girl, right? And they know, okay, I have 15 minutes to eat because I have a call with my CPA, and now they spend a half hour on the phone with us, and then they go back to running their business.
Yeah.
So technology allows us to do all these wonderful things.
So when Mark was talking today about the percentage of the one dentist, what she was paying her, do you help dentists get themselves in line so they can start making a better living and better decisions?
We're not consultants, so we don't, but we work with a number of his clients, and we'll lay out the numbers so they could do what they need to do. Now, we could
kind of highlight the problem areas for them.
And we could tell them, this is totally out of whack. You need to do something about this. I don't have that kind of expertise, so I don't pretend to be able to do that. But we'll refer them to, work with a consultant. These are people we know that have, helped a lot of clients and to really kill it.
It was interesting to me to see Mark talk about the percentages that they were supposed to land in each of the areas and how out of whack they should be or could be. And once he dials in where the percentage is and they make the changes, they can make, what did he say, $372,000 a year. This one young dentist recouped after she learned her numbers and adjusted her practice.
So if you think of that example, she went from 120 to about 350 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a life-changing difference.
Big time.
You can do a lot of things with that kind of money. So, and that's kind of what, when we talk with our clients and we do tax planning with them, we're looking for them to save taxes. So, it might be $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year, but over 5 years, it's over $100,000. Now, you look in that case, that was $200,000 a year over 5 years. That's $1 million. Yeah. That's a real game changer. That's just not just more shoes or another trip or some money for college. That's a real game-changing number. Yep. And, it's not a lot of rocket science.
It didn't seem like
it's not a lot of rocket science.
It seemed like common sense things that people just refuse to notice.
They just don't know how to run practices.
and having accountability and having that peer pressure, because when you're in his group, you're working with, you're meeting with other dentists. Yeah. So it's easy for somebody to tell you need to do this, but when you have to sit with your friends. And they're saying, well, I was able to do this, and I was able to do that, and, you have your tail between your legs.
Yeah, you're like, why am I not doing that?
Right, so that's, I think, a big part of that accountability there.
That was a big topic at our national meeting last weekend. The laboratory, it's called Vision 21. We had a guest speaker, the keynote. A lot of it was about accountability.
Yep.
No different.
Keeping yourself accountable.
Exactly. I mean, I can't tell you over the years that things I've seen where people aren't watching their numbers. When business is great, money's coming in, money's going out, you're not looking. When all of a sudden it's not when business isn't great or the economy turns. And now you start looking and you're like, oh, wait, that person, they really weren't making that much money, were they? And you start to find things. So it's important to be accountable and to know what your numbers are and know what you're spending your money on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Yep.
Cool. Wise words even for labs.
Yes, for everybody.
Everybody. Personal and lab.
So do you think Elvis and I can get on your podcast?
We can definitely do that. So that would be great. So
We'd love to talk
why
about
don't we
laboratories.
could schedule something today if you want.
Sure.
And I'll go over there. I'll get my little pad and we'll schedule something.
Awesome.
Are you doing live recordings today?
I am doing live recordings. I'd rather do it long distance.
Remotely?
Okay.
Nice and set up.
Nice and set up. A little bit more relaxed, then I don't have to worry about whether my machine's going to work. I have this same Zoom thing.
Yeah.
We'll end this. I'll
Yeah.
get my pad and we'll
Awesome.
schedule.
Sure.
Okay.
That'd
It was
be
great being
fantastic.
on your
Thanks
show.
for coming
Okay.
on, Craig.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Be okay.
We could put on our same one so we don't have to share. No, nobody's sick. Everybody's healthy. We're all good.
Everything is good.
So, what's the deal with the bite registration?
So Kettenbach,
Oh yeah,
the impression material, sponsored us to be here.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that is their bite material.
Yeah, futar.
Yeah. So it's clear.
I like the clear.
And the
Clear allows you can actually see if they're actually biting together, right?
I
Supposedly.
would
Pretty
imagine
much,
that's
yeah,
what it was
actually.
for.
They said some's more rigid. I'm not sure which one. One gentleman said he liked the green one the best.
Pink's the most rigid.
Not sure.
When was the last time you were in someone's mouth?
Today? No.
I was like, well, that's an awkward question.
I was like,
what
how-
are you trying to say?
How can I take that awkward question and make a more awkward answer? Elvis, do you want to be next?
I could see
Yeah, I
your
was
wheels
gonna
turning.
say,
You're
other
like,
than me? No. We're here with Dr. Zachary Allmand.
Yes.
You say it like the nut?
So,
There-
I don't know. I get tripped up on it all the time because I just say it almond, but I think there's so it's kind of like the nut.
Okay.
But whenever people are like, how do you spell it? I'm like, it's all man with a D.
Interesting.
So,
I like the way that works. All man with a D.
my third grade best buddy came
Hey,
up with that.
And then you've been using it ever since.
Ever since.
Beautiful.
So this guy here
You
is
guys know
or
each
was
other, right? Go ahead.
a dentist local to our lab in Indiana, Monon Dental.
Monon Family
yeah,
Dental.
Monon Family Dental. Met you in a Spear Study Club.
Yep.
And we've done a couple cases together. We did some big cases together.
Yeah, we did
like
the
an all on four.
All on
or
four,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
conus attachments.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had nothing to do with it. But you have since left the practice.
No,
I'm so
Oh,
confused.
you're still there?
I'm still there.
Sweet.
I still practice 4 days a week.
Oh,
Do you
well,
really?
I
That's
do.
full
I just give
time.
you a hard time then. I thought
I know. I was
thought
like-
you stopped completely.
No, absolutely not. I just burn the candle from both ends.
Okay.
So,
wow.
yeah.
So what's the other end?
So the other end is a merchant services company that's it's Apex Payment Solutions. We started it officially in 2016, but it's a merchant services company for the dental industry, dental offices, dental labs.
Is
dental
this
supply.
new for this space?
It's not new. It's a
Yeah.
different spin on it. So
Okay.
the whole way it came about is when I bought my practice, or when my partner and I bought
Yeah.
our practice. We were going through, looking at the vendors. Who were they using? Who could we use? Trying to, because as a new practice owner, expenses are coming at you from everywhere.
Oh, I bet.
You're not sleeping because you're like, man, are we even going to be profitable? So we're trying to, cut our expenses, keep our overhead low. And so I was researching.
Cut the lab.
Yeah,
Right.
cut the lab. Just cut it off. Cut it straight off. But when we were researching merchant services companies, it just seemed dirty. Like,
yeah.
everybody we'd talk to would be like, when I'd ask, well, what are your rates? They'd be like, well, what'd the other guy say? We'll beat him. And I'm like, wait, but you don't even know what he's charging. Oh, don't worry, we'll give you a better deal than that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just seems weird. So I actually have a really good friend from my time in the military that owned a merchant services company doing restaurants, bars, small businesses.
yeah.
And so I just reached out to him and said, hey, I know you can't do things in the dental space, but can you at least help me understand this so I'm not getting taken advantage of? And he's like, who told you we can't do it in the dental space? I'm like, well, one of the companies that's trying to get my business said that we needed a dental-specific processor.
Interesting.
And so he's like, no, that's not true. So what we did is for the first 2 years, we actually ran his merchant services product in our office, making sure that it worked, that we were compliant with HIPAA, PCI compliant, all those good things. And what we ended up doing through those 2 years is kind of just testing, like, what features do we want? Because we wanted to be something more than just a credit card processor. We wanted to be a true payment solutions like partner with your practice. What are dental offices doing to increase their case acceptance? Payment plans, making payments accessible to patients, like website integrations, things like that. So that's what we did. I was like, I want this feature, I want this feature, I want this feature. And so we actually partnered with a company to create this platform. They actually had the platform and tailored it to the dental space for us to offer automated payment plan management. Yeah. So that way I didn't have to pay my front office manager to come in on our days off to make phone calls to Mrs. Smith and try and get her to run her credit card for her monthly payment where she's not even going to call or not going to answer. And
so it's automatic.
So it's automatic.
Awesome.
We have encrypted cloud credit card storage, so for recurring payments, but also for like when dental insurance pays and there's a balance, we can automatically run the credit card and it's stored securely, not on a Rolodex on our front desk,
which is
what it was.
Pretty common. Yeah.
And then we have website integration as well. So we send out an invoice. It says, for your convenience, you can either stop by the office, call us to make a payment, or you can just log on to the website and just click on that button.
The percentage of people that paid online was 90%, I would imagine.
So when you get to when you get to that point, nobody's going to drive all the way.
Who's
going to stop by the dentist when they don't have to?
But if you think about it, like how do you pay your gas bill or your electric bill? It's like
online.
10 o'clock at night when you're opening the mail, and it's like, oh crud, I got to pay this. Okay, I'm going to log on. So the nice thing for me is I wake up in the morning, log into the platform. I'm like, oh, we made money overnight while I was sleeping.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
nice.
So it really works well in the dental space. Works really well for dental labs as well because you can have that secure encrypted credit card storage for all your client base, and you can just go in and run the payment. Or if they're on nobody's ever on a fixed monthly payment with a dental lab, right? But it just eliminates hurdles to collecting the money that you need,
which
to
is
operate.
A huge problem in dental laboratories.
Yeah,
huge problem.
And you keep the credit card of the office on file, and then you send them the invoice and say, just set it up. Hey, on the 15th of the month, this bill will be due, and it will run automatically. That way, you don't have to chase down the dentist.
That had to raise your percentage of collections.
Absolutely. So, our office, and I'm going to brag on my team. Last year, we were at 101% collections.
Nice.
People are like, how are you at 101? Yeah, Elvis is looking at me funny. It's because now that we're doing larger cases, we're doing more larger cases because we're making it more accessible. And so these payment plans are, we're still getting paid for things that aren't even on that year's book. Right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so it will eventually level back out to 100%. But, I mean, that's awesome in the dental office. And it also has increased our case acceptance. So we went from about 40% to 62%.
Because people can be on a payment plan?
Well, because we're making treatment more accessible. And we have a whole system to it because we have a credit card terminal that can go from room to room. It's called the Clover Flex, and it's completely encrypted, takes a chip card. My office treatment plan coordinator has it at her desk, and when we present larger treatment cases, anything over $1,000, I step out and I say, I'm going to have Lauren come into the room. She's going to talk about your payment options, how we can make this more affordable for you, break it down into payments, and we're going to take your down payment today. And she just goes, boom, while they're in the chair. Because
don't let them think about it.
Yeah.
It's not. But what we found is that once they leave the operatory and get to the front desk, it stops becoming a clinical decision and becomes a transaction.
It makes sense.
So if you're doing it in the operatory, they still have that, maybe the picture of that cracked tooth. Or, they see, I need to get this done. It's going, how do we make this happen? Yes.
Was that your idea to do that?
It was. But more so from a HIPAA compliance because we had, if you think about it, you walk up to the front desk and there's maybe a half wall separating you from the waiting room. And say Mrs. Smith is there and she wants 8 veneers, but her friend is in the waiting room. She doesn't want her to know she's getting veneers. So maybe she's like, I'll call back and I'll make payment then.
Awkward.
And if we do it back in the room, there's more privacy, HIPAA compliance. It's not a factor at all.
Yeah. What dictates what merchant services charges a company for the credit card usage? Am I even asking that question right?
I know what you're trying to ask.
Yes.
Yeah,
so what you're asking is what dictates the percentage that you pay to the credit card processor.
Yeah.
So there's 2 pieces to it.
Okay.
There's the interchange rate, which is what the credit card company charges. So Visa, MasterCard, Discover.
They set that.
They set that, and it's different for every single type of card. And it's different for debit cards. So, like, the average debit card is about 0.8%. There are some lower, but that's the interchange rate.
Okay.
But if you have, like, a Delta, Sky Miles, American Express, that interchange rate is over 2%.
Oh.
So that's why, like, month to month, depending on how your patients or your clients are paying, your percentage will change. On top of that, the way the merchant services company makes their money, or how we get paid for processing and facilitating the funds transfers and the security of it, is the plus in the interchange plus model. Okay, and so we charge a fixed percentage. It's like less than 0.5% per transaction to run these transactions. Some other companies do like a flat rate, like Square, because that's simple and easy, right? You know every month you're going to get charged 2.75%. But the truth of the matter is you should be paying much lower than that.
Yeah.
So for 2019,
it adds up.
95% of our clients were processing between 1.8 and 2.1% all in. That's with every fee, everything included.
Really?
And that can translate to a lot of savings. Like we have some clients recently that were 3.5%, 4%, and when you're looking at, let's say the average dental office is like $25,000, right? If we can save a full percentage point on that, $250 a month.
Adds up.
That's $3,000 a year. And that's, I mean, like I tell people, they're like, oh, well, $250 a month isn't all that much. I'm like,
yeah, it is.
That pays for your Christmas party. That pays for a staff trip. That pays for another CE trip.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my whole why behind I got into this, is because I want to be a benefit to the dental industry, because we're getting squeezed from every direction. From the dental office, you know, lab costs go up, you know, insurance payouts go down, and, you know, we're getting squeezed from everywhere. With the lab, your materials costs go up every year.
All the time,
But the dentists don't want to pay more for their crowns. And so you have this balance of, you can only squeeze so much blood out of a turnip, right? So if we can help keep overhead lower, we're freeing up time, energy, money for you to grow the business, invest in better technology, invest in CE, make yourself a better dentist, make your lab a better lab. And it just helps us all if we can help lower overhead.
Those same percentages, do you think you could offer that to a lab?
So absolutely. The only thing that would change for the lab, because the interchange rates are so funky, if the card is not present, it's a higher interchange rate. So the credit card company charges more.
Really?
Because it's a less secure transaction.
Yeah.
So that's why debit.
And it's never present when we do it. Yeah.
But we have a way around it.
Oh.
So because of our encrypted platform, the encrypted card storage, it's called the Tier 2 or Tier 3 processing. The more information you put into the field when you set up the payment source, the lower your interchange rate is going to be, because they can verify more data points.
Oh, that's crazy.
And verify that it is the person that has it. That's why a debit card is so low, because of the PIN. So if somebody's inserting their card with the chip and typing in their PIN number, you have a very, very high likelihood that is the person whose card that is. But if somebody's calling over the phone and making a payment, it could be anybody.
So is it worth it for me to get one of those travel processing units and send my driver out with it? And when he makes a delivery, be like, it's that time of the month again, and then you can slide it over.
Elvis, that is absolutely a genius idea that I have not had, but I'm going to start using that.
No, that really is.
I got drivers at every office.
God, so here we go. He's an entrepreneur and he doesn't know it.
Elvis is like, I can run with this. Honestly, so the difference is about 0.5% if you're actually inserting the card. So depending on your volume of credit card sales per month, it would make sense.
It could.
Because we do have that same unit that I was talking about, the Clover Flex, is 4G capable and Wi-Fi capable. So you can take it. We have some dental vendors or labs, like if they go to trade shows and they're selling models, they'll just have the Flex out, and then you can just make payments right there.
Interesting.
And it funnels into the same payment batches or funding cycles as every other payment. So that's the whole thing. Like, I kind of envision it like 4 pitchers of water pouring into the same base.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have website integration. We have in-office payments. We have the virtual terminal. We have the payment plans. But all of it goes into the same batch. And we have an online transaction log, so you can actually log in and see every transaction that's taken place that day. You can actually look at every single payment plan, every single individual card that you've stored is searchable. You can, when you pull it up, it shows every transaction history that's been in there. So it just allows for a more paperless solution to accounting. And we integrate directly into QuickBooks too.
Yep.
So that way
that's great.
So,
do you guys take payments online with your lab? Do you
Yes.
know? Do you? Yeah, we don't. We're so behind.
What?
Yeah.
I know.
Get
it's
with
terrible.
it, Elvis.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: like
Finally.
we have offices that no matter what the balance is that month, run their card at this day.
They want to pay it that. Yeah.
And
well, and it's a planned event, right?
Yeah.
So that
way,
way,
it's not the same amount. It's just, and we love those people, by the way.
Yeah. Hopefully, I paid
And then
my
you have
lab
the
bill
ones
on
that
time.
don't pay.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I'm
use
looking
you
at
as
you,
the-
buddy.
That
big case.
Looking at a mental picture, I'm like, did I pay that bill?
I think I did. Well, that's cool. I really think it's something labs should be looking at.
Really?
Well, they're going to hear it on the podcast. It's pretty good.
I mean,
how do they get in touch with you?
We have a website that is currently being redone, so please don't judge us by the website. But it is www.apexpaymentsolutions.com.
Cool.
You can reach out to me directly, ZAK@apexpaymentsolutions.com, and I can direct you to a sales team member. I always like to make first contact.
Yeah.
Because I'm an outgoing guy. I kind of just like to be like, hey, here's the introduction.
Personal touch.
Here's who I am.
Yep.
Here's why I started this. I'm really big on the why behind things.
Yeah.
You know, why, like being intentional with what I'm doing. So.
And the fact that you are a dentist.
Yeah,
Sorry.
quit saying words.
I don't know why.
Do you know
4
something
days
that I
a
don't
week.
know?
That's full time.
I keep had this that this is taking off that you're like, screw it, I don't want to touch a tooth again.
I mean, maybe someday, but
not
no.
yet.
Well, I still enjoy dentistry, and it also allows me to stay relatable.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Makes
because
sense.
that's one of the biggest things is, I mean, there's some people that reach out to us and they don't use our company, and that's fine. But I can have those conversations with them, help them be better with their current processor.
Absolutely.
Help them get a better understanding of the whole process. And, you know, they might not use this, and that's fine because I'm just helping out colleagues.
Yeah.
And that's
really
like
that's
that.
what's important.
Yep.
Keeps it true.
yeah.
It does.
No.
Cool. Appreciate you coming
Thank
on.
you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
Dr. Cashew, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
We are?
Are you taking selfies?
No, I wanted somebody to take a picture. So we are here at LMT Chicago with our very first guest. I don't know, 2 years ago?
2 years ago in April.
So it's Renata Budny, correctly said? Budny?
Yes, absolutely. And we all collaborated actually 2 years ago in Chicago.
I
So this is
know.
the birth of the
Yeah, so you were on
Voices from
episode
the
1.
Benches.
You're on episode number 52, which is our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, my God.
And
how
it is
special
our
is
goal
that?
to have you on episode 104 for our 2 year anniversary.
Oh, my God. I feel so honored. Thank you, guys.
Because you were foolish enough to be our first guest
I
Yes.
was, right?
when we had no idea what we were doing.
Our sexiest guest,
I
by the way.
believed in you all the way from the beginning.
And still, because it's our first episode and because you're an amazing, our highest
Aw.
downloaded episode ever.
Woo, woo.
All right.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I did not know that. Thank
Yep.
Love
you.
you guys.
How's your
You're
meeting
amazing.
going?
The meeting has been very productive. We had the educators meeting on Thursday. We had 17 educators joining us.
Wonderful.
We are in
Wow.
the midst of, curriculum revisions, CODA standard revisions, a lot going on in that realm, and we see a lot of excitement in the industry.
Well, I was at the IDT Removable Prosthetics panel.
You were not
And-
just there. You were on the
Oh,
panel.
And I was on the panel.
You were
and
in the middle. I think I saw a picture. I mean, it was all like
Renata
boom.
got up and was talking about, how important it is to make sure you realize that the educators are out there and they need equipment and they've got students and they've got struggles. And, when to get up and stand up like that in front of a room full of all those people, you just have all my love and respect. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. No, we are all out there for the industry, and industry has been extremely good to us. The one thing that we can offer back is to provide service of if anybody needs to hire a new employee technician, if it's a manufacturer needs a new rep or whatnot, send us the message to any of the schools, and we would be happy to share it with our students, graduates, alumni. And if we can connect people, it's so much better for us. I hear amazing stories of people actually getting jobs in Alaska, in Florida, in other states, not just New York State, since
But
we
not
are in New
Indiana.
York State.
That's the problem.
Well, Indiana has a wonderful school.
Yes,
so,
they do.
But the problem is the students today, they have the minds of their own. They want to continue educations, have bachelor degrees, and, they move on to other things. So not all of our graduates actually end up in a profession. So seeing the support, those that do see the support and those that get engaged, they get very excited.
Yeah.
And they stay in a profession. And I just met a bunch of my graduates. They work with doctors. The doctors are paying for their flights and stay in Chicago. They support continuing education.
Wow.
So, of course, that's very attractive to people who stay in a profession. So support from the doctors and the laboratories is very important for once you get that new employee, once you're developing them, show them that you care and give them support in that sense.
That's amazing.
Remember last year, didn't you have a student with you that we
I
interviewed?
was just
and
thinking
he was
about
such
that.
a wonderful young man. Is he still in school? Is he graduated?
He has graduated. He's working in the lab, so
Good
that was
for
a very
him.
good
He didn't
success.
become a dentist?
He was
thinking
very
about it.
impressive.
But you know what? Becoming a dentist takes time, so he still might be on that path. But since he graduated and it's not there with us on a daily basis, we might find out, I got to dental school one day,
Well, we're
so
hoping not.
he might still be working on it, absolutely. But we have a lot of wonderful graduates here and students, and just great stories.
Yeah.
Give me the goosebumps every time I hear
love
them. Yeah.
So what's your school working on? I think last time we talked to you, you just moved into
brand
a
new
fantastic
school, right?
building with your big corner office and all your greatness. What's going on at the school?
The school is still great, wonderful. We, again, invite industry to come visit us. Let's,
we
see
should
what
go
we're
to
up
the
to.
podcast at your
Yes, we talked
university.
about it. You guys need to make it happen.
and have the students.
The students would be
cool.
so excited. We actually have one student that came in fall, and she said she heard about us from the podcast.
Shut up! Yeah,
And she joined the school, and she continues to listen to you guys, and she just loves all the podcasts. So that was amazing because our students, even though you tell them, they oftentimes don't register.
Yeah.
But this student just came out of nowhere, freshman, and she's like, "Yeah, I heard about you from the podcast. I came back." Very
That's
exciting.
really good.
She's my favorite student.
That's
by
a
the way.
compliment.
Keep
That
up
is.
the good work because you guys are out there and you're doing an amazing service
Appreciate
to the
it.
profession.
And he and I still get along, even though I'm always late.
Yeah, look at that.
He wants to kick my
I've
ass
just
half the
learned
time.
to accept.
Yes, accept and deny.
Yeah. You're getting ready to head out.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to catch up with you guys.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, well,
And love the podcast. Keep up the good work.
well thank you.
Thank you
104.
so
Number one, number what? 52?
Congratulations.
And
Yeah.
104.
100 podcasts.
We love you.
Yay.
Awesome.
And it only took 2 years.
Yeah.
Just
Thank
a short
you.
100 weeks. No big deal.
Wonderful.
Have a good meeting.
Awesome.
We
Thank
love
you so much, you two
Thanks,
guys.
Renata.
Thanks.
Bye.
Barb, I got a call from a doctor who's looking for a new lab.
What? That's awesome. Did they start to send you work yet?
Yeah, but unfortunately her impressions are terrible. Missed margins, distortions all over. I don't know what to do.
Well, she's probably looking for a new lab because the last lab stopped taking her impressions. Bad dentists, they go from lab to lab to lab.
Yeah, that's probably what she's doing. But I just got this account. I don't want to lose it. When I talked to her, I asked what impression material she was using, and it was some brand I've never heard of.
Yeah, there's a lot of crappy impressions out there. I don't understand why offices use cheaper materials to save money up front, but in the end, it ends up costing them twice as much, and with all the remakes for us and for them that they end up doing. And, we got to eat the remake costs.
Yeah, that's so true. I really wish I could find an impression company I could rely on for help, and the doctors can get the help they need for us to get the records we need.
So there you have it. Check out Kettenbach. This German-manufactured impression material is taking the U.S. by storm. Not only do they use top-notch patented technology, but they have a dedicated customer service team that will work with your accounts, which is amazing.
Interesting. So do I just call the doctor and tell her to switch? What if she doesn't want to?
Well, you know how doctors are. Most of them are pretty open and say, hey, if I can do better, please let me know. So if I was you, I would tell her to call Kettenbach Direct, give her the number of 877-532-2123. They've actually got a $99 starter kit. They will put her in touch with a local rep, and they also have a lot of materials that labs use every day, like the Panacell Lab Putty Hard and Lab Putty Soft. They've got soft reline, they've got bite registration material, and When a lab orders, guys listen up, 25% off your first order. All you have to do is mention the code Dental Lab Podcast 25. Plus, they sell direct, so there are even more savings.
Whoa, wait a minute. I've heard about that lab putty. We use it here in our lab. I didn't even realize it was made by Kettenbach. That is amazing lab putty that our technicians love. I'm going to check out kettenbach-dental.us right now and then call my new doctor.
So, just hearing Elvis say it's an amazing lab putty, there you go. There's a super awesome recommendation. So, call him.
Thanks for your support of the podcast, Kettenbach.
Thank you. A big thanks to Jordan, Craig, Zach, and our good friend Renata. It's good to step away from the laboratory to learn about what the doctors and staff are doing on the clinical side. It helps us help them, that's for sure. And thank you to the good people at Kettenbach for helping Elvis and I get to the Voices of Dentistry meeting, which we really had a great time. And it was just amazing how so many dentists just love Voices of Dentistry. And there's a ton of podcasts that Elvis and I had no idea about that we were able to check out. So check them out at kettenbach-dental.us. And we know, like we said, it's a long episode with a lot of added content, but we just wanted to let everybody know that the DLAT Texas meeting has been rescheduled until October 1st through 4th, 2020. We will definitely keep you updated on the podcast on this meeting. We're super sad that we're not traveling, but to be honest with you, I think it was a really good decision. A lot of the meetings that we have been going to for the last 2-3 months have been postponed, so I think it was a good positive call on their part, even though we're disappointed we're not going.
Yeah, I need to get out of this town.
I'm sure. I don't think you will be for a while, though, just saying.
No, I don't think anybody will be.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there. We'll all get through this, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
I don't even know what day it is, let alone what time it is.